Hello and welcome back to the stream. I took a little time off. I was feeling a little bit burnt out from streaming every morning, so I kind of took last week to work on some stuff, and then sometimes I just played some video games. So yeah, but I'm back, and I've been yeah, I think a little recharged. We had a game dev meetup yesterday for the local game devs around here, and it was great. A lot of people showed up, showed off their games and things, so I brought the Samurai game to show off. Unfortunately, I have a kind of a low spec laptop. I don't know if it's 10 years old at this point, but it's not super great for this game. So, but yeah, if you're new to watching these streams, we're working on a samurai roguelike game, and basically you're this samurai character. You're walking around these procedurally generated areas and gotta eliminate the bad guys and then move on to the next piece. So current idea for the level progression, we're trying to build a demo, and the first part of the demo is going to be a village section and maybe some other, biome or whatever. Although I still haven't tried to make a new biome yet, so that might be something we do in the next week or two. And yeah, I guess some of the newer things that have occurred in this game are we've got a new enemy. So I guess originally the demo started with these like little ninja guys. So I switched them out to be kind of like the soldiers or the henchmen of the big bad, right? So I kind of dressed them all in black or darker colors, and then the ninjas were cool, but they were a little bit more, I don't know, comical, cartoony, I guess. Just the idea of like, oh, you're fighting like a massive amount of ninjas. So I think there's still probably going to be a ninja level where their ninjas will be an opponent, but I think they're going to be a little bit more. They're going to have more mechanics, right? They're not just going to be running up to you with their sword or whatever and hitting you like the base enemy is doing. So, yeah. So we just added a spear enemy, and to go along with these sword guys. And these sword guys are super deadly if they catch you and hit you, but most of the time they're too slow to hit you. So I may work on that. So, but that kind of gave me the pressure to create another bad guy. So I created these spear guys, and they're a little slower to turn, so I can get around them. But if you touch their blade, you take damage. So, and if you run into their blade, you will stop and not dash through them. So most enemies you can kind of dash through, but with spear guys, you'll stop at the end of their spear. So, so the best way to take them out is to hit them from the side or behind. So it's kind of how that works. But yeah, if you just take them straight on, you get stuck and then you take damage. So, and that also kind of makes me feel like I need to give some more indicators that we're taking damage, right? I mean, you can see it, but in the heat of battle, you're kind of not. So we'll probably do some sort of like, full red on the outside of the screen type of thing, and then maybe maybe make the player flicker or something like that. But yeah, he just, every time that spear touches you, you take damage. And there's a 1 second cooldown on the stop, but once you've taken that first initial hit with the spear, you can then dash through them. So like the collider box that prevents you from taking, dashing through them goes away. So you see there, I took him to the side and I took down everybody. So as long as you're not trying to dash right through his spear point, you take him out. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, another issue that we were having with my laptop is the dash always was like cut short for some reason. It's kind of a weird thing. Like everyone would click, but they wouldn't go this far. They would just go like a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I've got most of the places that I thought you would have a problem. Like this would block you, but like the ground shouldn't block you, the grass shouldn't block you. Oh. And I don't think if you're in a battlefield like this, none of these guys should block you. Even the spear, yeah. You should be able to go all the way across. So I think a tree blocked me there. But so yeah, I don't know. All right, so the other big piece of the game that we've been working on is it kind of gets back to that level progression idea. So basically we have randomly procedurally generating layouts for this village. So, whoa, did I just send that guy flying? I've never seen that glitch. That's really funny. Okay, might have to go find him. But yeah, so I'm kind of basing this off a little bit of like the Hades style progression, where in the game Hades you have like a bunch of rooms and you kind of like you fight all the bad guys in the room and then you choose an exit, or maybe you only have one exit. So and then you go to the next room and you fight a bunch of guys, and usually the bad guys are similar, or maybe there's like a new type or something like that. It gets a little bit harder as you progress, and then you get to the mid-level boss. This is speaking from someone who's only gotten to like I think the second biome of Hades, but so in the first biome of Hades, you fight through a bunch of rooms, and then you end up with like the two kind of skeleton twins boss, I call them. But there's like two guys that they throw like bombs or something. So that's like this mid-level boss, right? And then eventually you progress and you fight. I'm terrible at remembering what there are. It's like the half wing or the one winged. Is she a harpy or something? Anyway, some sort of demon lady with one wing, and that's kind of like she's the boss to get out of that region, right? So my thought is, for the demo, we have a couple of these village setups where you fight through, and I don't know, maybe you find like a gate like this or something, and then you go to the next one, right? And then but eventually you get to kind of the mid-level boss, right? So the mid-level boss scenario here is this this marketplace, and in here it's an ambush, and I just fought a whole bunch of them, but outside the market. But the idea is like you walk in here, and then all these guys kind of spawn off screen, and they come in, and then you have like a big fight in here, and that's kind of your mid-level fight. And once you get through here, there's an exit somewhere. But the spear guys are taking me out. So that would be kind of our mid-level fight for the demo. And then I'd probably like to have like an actual boss fight too. So that's kind of, those are the main things I've been working on, the spear guys, balancing the enemies, things like that, and then creating this kind of mid-level boss idea. And so currently, the procedural generation has it so that the market should only generate twice, but I think I created a glitch where if I press the button too many times, I accidentally spawn 2 levels on top of each other. So I'm pretty sure that's where the bug is, but sometimes I see the market spawning twice, so it shouldn't happen because I have like basically a list of rooms, and once the market room is spawned, there's special like hard-coded and the reason why it could be a bug is because it's kind of hacky, but I have like hard-coded code to say if the marketplace has already spawned, kick it out of the array so it can't be chosen again. There's like a sword guy, like his sword's all the way up here. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah, we never did check what happened to that one guy that flew in the air. They do ragdoll so they can fly. So anyway, this market should only spawn once, but that's as far as I've gone with like the actual coding for how the market should spawn. So probably another piece other than just kind of completing the level design of this area. So even like the ambush is kind of a little bit sporadic because the guys are kind of like not quite doing what, you know, they're just sort of walking around, which is fine. You don't want everyone to probably totally rush in at once, but yeah, I almost want to set all the bad guys to like aggro mode, you know, let's attack, and then have them rush in rather than like wander around the outskirts of the market. And then also, I feel like I made the market too big, so I kind of want to maybe get rid of some of these layers. So the market right now is this giant square, and I probably only need this area that I've been designing. So and that's fine. I made it this big because if I wanted to have like levels continue, see, I do have 2 markets here. So I don't know if I press the button or if I accidentally spawned them twice. So that's something I need to make sure is not happening, because I can't have 2 boss encounters in one. It just kind of doesn't make sense, first of all, but yeah. Yeah, so that is what I'm currently working on. Something was getting hit. Oh. So the spear guy doesn't even have like an attack function. He just kind of goes towards the player and tries to stick him with his spear. So you can see like he didn't even hit him that time. There you go. That time he hit him. So I might make some sort of animation where he like thrusts his spear, but right now he just whacks him with it, which because it just automatically does damage whenever you run into the front of his weapon, it's kind of it just works, but it's not very exciting, I guess. All right. Some of the feedback I got yesterday at the game dev, I was talking with one guy, and I think he's played a lot of like Sekiro and things like that, and he kind of brought up some of the dodging and parrying and like sword fighting kind of mechanics that I started to explore in the beginning of this game, and I sort of like shelved them for kind of the one dash mechanic. But you know, playing Hades a bunch, right? Like, so Hades has the dash attack, and you kind of like when you press dash and then sword attack at the same time, you get kind of a dash attack, which I like to do in that game because it just sort of like allows you to escape a bunch of stuff. So I'm always dashing around. I don't know if that's what everyone does or it's just my style, but you know, you can dash over traps and all sorts of things like that. So taking some inspiration from that game, and I'm just talking about Hades 1. I haven't played Hades 2 yet, but there is like a regular slash, you know, so and I have created in kind of a small way, I have this kind of directional dash that if you press right mouse in conjunction with the direction, as long as you're moving a little bit, which just needs to be tweaked, I think, because like if you're not, if you just, so I'm just tapping it, which works most of the time, but you can see like that time it didn't do anything. But if you're, so this, you can see, maybe you can see he's not swinging his sword. So this is kind of a non-attack dash. So it looks almost exactly the same as the attack dash, but I haven't really come up with an, you know, an animation for it, like a roll dodge or something like that. But basically the idea for this is you can sort of, and it uses almost all the same code as the attack. So like it makes sure you're not dashing through things, etc., etc. But it just doesn't have like the damage, and it only goes a certain distance. So it doesn't go as far as the mouse pointer. It just has like kind of its own distance. But it's good for positioning. So you can use your mouse to focus on who you want to hit, because if you're walking in this direction, right, but your mouse is behind you, you can attack backwards, right? So the game allows the player to always attack towards the mouse, no matter which way they're facing. So what that allows you to do is, if we can escape this guy, give ourselves some room, we can get behind him and then slice him. And so you can keep your mouse pointer on your enemy. Oop, did I? Okay. And dash around them and then attack from a different angle. So that allows you to kind of go around defenses, right? So that's kind of where this dash idea comes from. So I might also, instead of having it be a mouse click or some button on the keyboard, on the controller, I think the controller, I haven't really set it up yet. I noticed yesterday I only had like, it seemed like he only dashed in one direction, so I don't think I've wired it up, but so he can go in any direction. But then he can still attack, and he doesn't have to rotate back to do the dash attack. So I feel like it's like that mechanic's a little technical for some players probably, but it probably adds a lot of gameplay possibilities, I guess. But then the other idea is just like maybe that's what we should do, is have kind of a regular attack, which just attacks wherever you're facing. And then have a button combo to allow you to do that. You know, in Hades for me, it's spacebar and click. You know, so that could also be and then you can kind of slash around your player, and then if you do the double, and then if you press spacebar and attack, and then you do your dash, something like that. And then instead of like right-clicking to do the non-combat dash, maybe I'll call it a dodge or something. But so here's my dodge. So I'm pretty sure I didn't take any damage for that guy because I went behind him. Again, it's kind of takes a minute to get used to, and you don't have like a big movement, right? So, and you have to know which. See, that time I didn't move, so I didn't get to do it. So, just kind of hard. So anyway, it's not perfect. Anyway, to complete my train of thought, I was thinking I could, instead of directional and right click, I could just have like, if you double tap the direction you want to go, that gives you a dodge. I have no idea how to make that work on an analog stick though. I don't know if you can double tap on an analog stick, but I'm pretty sure with Unreal's kind of newish input system, there's like ways to add that kind of a functionality. Did he hit me? Wow, for the first time. Okay. Yeah, I might lower the damage on the sword guys and just let them hit like as fast as possible. Because they're basically just cannon fodder at this point. But if they hit you right now, they do like 25 damage. That's partly because they're so easy to kill. Like it takes them a second to warm up to attacking. Whereas I think the spear guys only do like 5 damage, but they oh, hey, Raron Ben. Yeah, the top-down isometric. I think it's cool. I think it's great. If you have the camera in the right spot, you can do it. My camera, I can show you how it's set up, but I think it works pretty well. So I just have a player character. It's actually my player base, which is a traditional bean. You see I have this camera here, and I've got it set to the spring arm. I've got it rotated at 300, so that's basically minus 60 degrees. So I actually don't have it at like a 45-degree angle. I've got it at like a 60-degree angle, I guess. Yeah, it's like 1,000 distant, and actually I may have changed it in the main player child. Let's look at it. Okay. Yeah, he's higher up. Okay, so all right, yeah, so still kind of like that 60-degree angle. I think 45 is more traditional, but and then I have it set to 1,500, and that gives you kind of this high up perspective. I've experimented with closer up. And then the other trick that I actually do in the game to make it more isometric is if you look at, this is my like, this is just a cube, but there is a level world generator. So I have this object in here. It's right at 0, 0. It's called world generator, and that's what procedurally generates my whole level. And you can see I've rotated it 45 degrees. So all of my levels are actually regular, they're not all rotated 45 degrees, and like not all the houses are rotated in a certain isometric way. But then I rotate my level generator, so it generates everything on a 45-degree angle, and that kind of gives it a little bit more of an isometric thing. So when we zoom out, you know, from the player perspective, all of these tiles are shifted 45 degrees. So then things start to look a little bit more on that angle, right? Oops. So we get that kind of, we get these like the lines, the roads and things like that are all on that isometric style. So yeah. But yeah, I think it's a great perspective style to use for Unreal. Not everything in Unreal has to be a first-person shooter. So yeah, I think rotating the whole level 45 degrees helps kind of give it a little bit more of the isometric style. And then, like, I can even, probably I can show you, here, watch. Let's go, let's put this back to 0. All right, so now when I generate, now we're kind of facing head on here. And you'll see this is like non-isometric. It's still at the isometric angle, right? But the whole level now is kind of straight on. This is kind of almost more like a top-down Zelda style, less isometric. So it's all just how I render the level and then the camera angle. Yeah, I think you know, you're saying most people don't make games like this in Unreal. I think partly that's I think Unreal Engine, because it was used to make Unreal Tournament and stuff, is really, really, really good at making a first-person game. But there are plenty of games people are making that are, you know, third-person games or even this type of stuff. I'm sure there are actually examples of some of these like 3D isometric games that are made in Unreal at this point, but I don't have like a list. So it's an extremely versatile engine is all I'm trying to say. But I do think like the best examples are, you know, are those like you know, 3D shooters and things like that. But you can definitely do a lot with it, and the market looks kind of cool in this direction, I guess. People are also, one of the big trends in some of the indie Unreal. I gotta get out of here. Let's get a choke point going. Is 2.5D, right? So one of the kind of shortcomings of the engine is like the 2D is not super developed, but you can like render sprites in the 3D environment. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, what if we make like a 3D background and then have like 2D sprites? And that works pretty well. And the reason I think also people do it that way, if you're not making a straight up 2D platformer type of thing, but more like a top-down perspective, is the sprite sorting for Unreal and a top-down is really kind of not super great still. I found that when I tried to make like a top-down Zelda-like in 2D, it was like I couldn't get the character to be able to walk in front of a tree and in back of a tree. It just was too much work. So I think some of the other engines have that stuff dialed in, and the Unreal 2D framework doesn't really have that very well. It's kind of annoying, but so that's why you see a lot of 2.5D. But yeah, I encourage you to experiment with Unreal if you're interested in a different style of game. It's definitely possible. I even made a I made a 2D game. Let's see. Called Space Rocks. Let's see if this works. Can I open it in 3? yeah, it's super resource heavy for 2D, I guess. I can say that like when I run my samurai game on my old laptop, which is like a GTX 970, so several generations behind, right, on graphics cards, but like and I don't know what the processor is on it, but it's like it automatically runs at like 20 frames per second, just like right out of the box, like before I even generate anything. So Unreal has definitely got some things, but also I'm not even trying to optimize, so I have no idea. Like it maybe I'm gonna have to compile all these shaders. This might not be super interesting for a while. So like I'm sure if I went through and optimized a bunch, I could probably figure out how to make it run better. But this is another game that I was working on. This is a first person though. But it's a different stylized kind of thing. And I'm just using the standard first person character controller for this, but I've got kind of like a fake fog volume and special shader to make it look kind of the line art type of thing going on. Go out on this little balcony, and I just made all this in like the rendering the mesh tools that the modeling tools that come with Unreal. So I didn't make any of this stuff in Blender, I just made it in the game. But I've got kind of this fog to make it look like these buildings are like infinitely tall. You can go walk down into this one, and this one's kind of in the fog. I don't know, doesn't look that great when you're in it, but I think this is kind of a cool, visually striking style. I didn't actually texture this, but these are all just flat gray textures. That's why they look like that. And then there's that orange one there. Yeah, I think Unreal is probably suitable for whatever you want. You just have to understand that you're probably targeting a pretty modern machine, I would say, no matter what game you're creating. So and I feel like with PC gaming, you know, after a couple years, if you don't have kind of a newer hardware, it's really hard to expect for games to work. I know, like when you have a game that looks like an old school game, people expect it to work on whatever, you know. But I don't know. I'm just one guy, so I'll do my best. I do have a potato laptop to test things on, so. Yeah, so I might get good at optimization maybe if I can figure it out, but it's currently not my biggest concern at the moment, I guess, because I just want to get a game built and created. So thank you. Yeah, I really like this. I'm gonna make this into a game too, so we will stay tuned. This game, depending on how if I keep the scope the way I want it, this might even come out before the samurai game, but so I have kind of a quick and dirty idea for it, so we'll see. I'm thinking kind of like a stealth type game for this, and then but I was also experimenting with some kind of Monument Valley puzzly type stuff, like rotating the level or non-Euclidean stuff, gravity, and portals. So portals might happen, but I just am trying to wrap my head around how I want to do the bad guys with portals. Like, do the bad guys get to walk through the portals, or just the player? So yeah, this is all I got for this level. Actually, it's all there is right now. But yeah, so just a proof of concept. All right, let's see. Oh my goodness. All right, it loaded. All right, so this is my 2D game. Let's see if it works. All right, so hopefully this is not too loud. That little demo for the first person game probably. I mean, I only get to work on my stuff for like kind of an hour or two each morning, and then on the weekends. So probably took only a couple hours, like 3 or 4 hours, probably to make something like that. Um, I worked on it over the course of a week because I was, playing around with all the line shaders and things like that. But like creating the actual design of that level probably didn't take more than an hour or two, I think. Yeah. All right, so here's my 2D. This is also in Unreal, so I'm not going to win any awards for my pixel art, but eventually the asteroids break into little bits, but I think that's level 3 or something. Hopefully the music I use for this game is stream safe. I guess we'll find out. Should be. I'm pretty sure I paid for it, so I don't think it's like free music. It's like, asset pack music or something. Anyway, this is the game for my 2D. It just kind of goes on like this for a while. This also has like a pause screen. You can turn up the music, you can turn down the music. Tells you the controls. You can quit the desktop. I think the whole game works with the controller. I don't know if the menu works with the controller, but the Somrit wants to know how to learn Blueprint A to Z. My favorite tutorial for learning Blueprint, how I got started when I switched over from Unity, was Game Dev TV's Blueprint course. It's the best. Yeah. So yeah, it has a high score thing too, so you can have a high score. It's really just me and my son. But yeah, Game Dev TV's um, so a Game Dev TV Blueprint course is a great start, I think. Yeah, this game's not terrible, and I forget exactly how I generate the levels, but I think so I have all these different like asteroid types, and then I have a save game. I think it's the spawner. I have a spawner. And I'm sure there's a level manager here. I'm sure I use some terrible struct to make this work. Show level started. I also enable the shield when the player starts so that you don't get blown up by the things. I also increase the speed of everything and then spawn new asteroids. Um, so somewhere in here we have kind of like the asteroids being spawned, but there's also like a thing about like um, yeah, there's a data table. So all my levels are in here. And you can see like these are the asteroids that I want to spawn in each level. So I have like no debris ones, um, ones that have so early on they don't break apart, right? But by the end, I've got like the last level has 20 asteroids, and then these ones, I think the huge ones, I forget if they must break apart, but the big ones will break apart into medium-sized ones, and the medium-sized ones will break up into smaller ones. So when you get to level 20, it's just like a ton of stuff coming at you. But yeah, that's kind of how I arrange the levels. So there's 10 levels, and it pulls in the stuff. So yeah. So yeah, that's and you can kind of tell from this this start screen here. This is kind of how I made it in oops. It's just top down, but the game is 3D, right? And then is there even a camera? I forget if the camera is orthographic or if it's actually 3D. If I play in the selected, I pause here. So I think, yeah, oh, there's a camera, but I think the player camera is, I'm not gonna click on it. I'll just, I'm not even sure it's, so I've got a couple different pawns. I've got a game over pawn, a start screen pawn, and then a character, which is the ship. Yeah, this is super messy, but I kind of like game jam this basically. I just wanted to see if I could make a 2D game. So here's our camera. So arm length 800. This, I think it is in orthographic. This was tricky to get everything to like be the right size and stuff. So now I'm using perspective. Yeah. Yeah, orthographic's tough to use. It might be better now, but anyway, I basically figured out where the perfect spot was for the camera. And I think the camera, yeah, this game is actually set up so that you could make like a infinite scrolling top-down shooter as well, like the original design. Probably in here I could probably enable it. It's probably built right into this player actually. But yeah, it's set up to be kind of a top-down one screen only. So yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's my 2D. You can see it's using this thing called Paper, and that's Paper 2D. That's the 2D game framework in Unreal, which is okay. So yeah, a bunch of other folks kind of signed in to the chat. So just wanted to show you, this is the main game we're working on. It's a samurai top-down roguelite game. Kind of inspired by some of the samurai games, but also inspired by like a Hades style dash attack, and probably Hades style progression. Although, and this is Hades 1, I haven't played Hades 2, so I don't quite know how if it works differently, but I'm thinking a couple different, biome themed room type setups. So like this village is like only a couple tiles per generation, and then so you kind of go through, kill whatever enemies get spawned, and then move kind of to the exit. So I haven't figured out what the exit should look like. There's actually part of the generation algorithm is it has a little like farthest tile indicator. I don't know if we're gonna find it. but it's a little orange disc. Oh, it's right there. It's right in front of the market. So if you look down in the bottom right corner where all those guys are standing, there's this little glowing circle that's in the ground there. That indicates that the last tile, like the furthest tile away from the start, is this big tile, this big market. So this is actually perfectly where I would want this to spawn. It doesn't usually spawn here though. But so the idea is like I would figure out how to create an exit room, which I've done in one of my other kind of procedurally generated demos I worked on. So yeah, so in here we basically say, oh, this is the last room. Let's enable the exit, you know, and then we'd have some sort of gate or whatever to let you go to the next room. And then this market is actually kind of a mid-level boss type event. It's not really a boss because there's no boss here, but it's like an ambush, as you can see, where a bunch of guys came in. I'm almost dead, in fact, but so you'd fight like a whole bunch of people, and then somewhere over here would be the exit to the next level. And then we'd, you know, fight through a few more village rooms, and then, yeah, he got me. And then you'd go on to your kind of final boss fight. So that's kind of the idea for the demo. I was thinking of having kind of a teaser of kind of a new biome after the village level, just to kind of give people an idea that it's not just this, right? There's more areas to the game. So I don't know if I'm going to make it chronological though, because I feel like my current flow for this game is like you're in the village, then like you kind of go out into like some farmland type area, wilderness area. But I don't know how much, like, how graphically different that would be. So maybe in the demo I'll do something else. I've got an idea for like kind of the mountain snowy area. So if you watch the recent Blue-Eyed Samurai show, like she goes into this mountain range. Oh, look, something spawned randomly over there. But yeah, like a mountain range with like snow and stuff, and like going through a mountain pass. So I think that would be a cool area to fight in. Plus all the blood would just like be all over the snow and stuff. So I'm gonna do that. The reason that spawned there is because, well, that's really far out. I don't know. I might have messed something up, but I have each of these tiles has like some. So the level itself generates based on different tiles, and then each tile has its own kind of procedural generation. So there's a whole bunch of objects in each of these pieces that will decide whether or not to generate in a given instance. So you might have like this tree placement might not be there in a different different role basically. So you could get this crossroads with different configurations, different trees. That rock might not be there. There might be like a little signpost in the middle here, things like that. So it kind of helps me with smaller amounts of tiles, but I can kind of make sure that there's some variation. So like this one, like some of the pieces of the house might not be there, and then this lantern wouldn't be there necessarily. Anyway, there's also some random spawners that I just when I was making this longer piece here, I think I just like dragged them off. So like these flowers, there's like another whole system for spawning kind of like flowers and grass, and I haven't given it a lot of love, so I think even this one's like floating. But so you'll see randomly some flowers generating and then sometimes not, but just to kind of give the ground some extra changes. So yeah, the long hallway was one of the later rooms that I created, but you can see like I haven't quite given it a lot of love. I've got like this thing still spawns full length on the tile, so I got to go through and clean up a little bit. I've been kind of in one of those phases of sort of, doesn't look like rapid development, but where I've been doing a lot of rapid development versus kind of like polishing. So some of my level stuff. The thing that I have been working on the most for level design is the market encounter. So this thing here, I tried to really decorate and stuff. And there's really, I don't think I have anything in the random folder for this. I think everything generates exactly the same each time, but I might make some variation with the barrels and things like that in the future. I could set it up so like even the buildings are, ooh, did I click off? Oh, I died. Okay. So, you know, I can make it so that these houses change, you know, to different places and stuff, but yeah. So I have a hard time surviving that. Medgard says, looking good, Mike. Are you using Lumen by any chance? I'm gonna answer that in a very dumb way and say I actually don't know if I'm using Lumen because Lumen is just kind of built into the engine at this point. So yes, I am using Lumen. Yeah, I'm not playing around with. I didn't change the lighting, so I am using it. Um, the currently the only lighting I have in here is the directional light, and it's movable, so I could probably make that static. I don't know if that will. That's probably what you would need to do to really trigger Lumen, I think, right? So I don't know how much we're really currently taking advantage of Lumen in this, but I haven't disabled it, but I don't think I've really gone into detail on how I'm using it. Let's save our game. I haven't really made any changes today, but I took like a whole kind of week off from streaming, so not from actually working, um, just working on a bunch of different things and playing some games and stuff. So today was kind of more of a demo day, but okay, yeah. So this is using Lumen just by default. Really, I haven't really tried to set it up, and I haven't tried. Like I probably could save on some baked lighting, but the problem with baked lighting, I'm guessing, is that I'm generating the level. Like there's no level here to bake lighting on, so um, like we'd have to bake the lighting now, which I don't know. Is there a real-time light baking? I don't think so. Judging by how when you build the game, there's a whole process for baking the lighting. You can see all the guys spawning. They all just spawn kind of right on top of each other as fast as possible. Leave me alone. Oh, I did send someone flying. Oh, he's out of the arena. So like that would be hard. That glitch. Oh, I'm getting. Wow, interesting. I haven't actually experienced the physicsy stuff happening like that of late, so that's interesting. That would be like this here is kind of a game-breaking glitch. I'll have to figure out because can't have can't have an enemy go all the way out here. He can't even do anything other than to hurt me. I had to use some debug to get back. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this takes advantage of all the Unreal Engine 5. This is Unreal Engine 5.2, I think, so, or 5.3. So it's, yeah, 5.3. So I'm not on 5.4 yet. There's not really a reason at the moment that I could think of that I really need 5.4 for, so I was just letting it kind of get patched and stuff before I tried to upgrade, but most of the time the upgrades with Unreal are fine. But ooh, I got him without getting hit. That's awesome. Spear guys are really hard to kind of dodge around. I just used my That's kind of a roll dodge, sort of. That's not animated, but it's a positional dodge where you can. There's an attack dash and also a dodge dash, which doesn't hurt anybody. But it gives you an angle on the spear guys when it works. It's almost better to fight everybody outside of the market than in the market. Come on, get out of the way. In a lot better shape, but there's a lot of spear guys left. Okay. That guy died standing up, I think. Okay. No, it did not dodge. There. So if you can get around the spear guys, you don't take damage, but they're hard to do, especially in a tight space. They do low damage, but they add up. There you go. I completed it. All right. Yeah, speed. I know. Yeah, the whole idea is that it's the dash mechanic's the main mechanic. So yeah, the idea is can you dispatch everybody as fast as possible, and then there's a little bit of combat puzzling with the spear guy. You can't just rush him. He'll stop you in your tracks, and then there's also going to be an archer. There's going to be a bunch more enemies, but the demo I think will just have sword guy, spear guy, and a projectile, so an archer. And so each one of those will present a different challenge for how you're going to attack, especially since dash is kind of your main attack. So, and then archers, I've got a few ideas for creating some elevations, so kind of preventing you from just dashing right into them. They might have like an elevated place that you have to go climb up to get to. So obviously it's not in this level, but the procedural generation is able to handle height change, so I can definitely use that. Yeah. But yeah, definitely the idea would be that each of the kind of quote rooms of the levels will be speed runnable for sure. Yeah. I probably need to add a run to my character too. He kind of walks kind of slow. You can just dash all the way around. I got rid of the idea of having like a stamina bar that prevents you from dashing. So you can dash almost immediately. And then the dodge dash only, I was explaining this earlier, but your character orients based on where your mouse is aiming, but the dodge dash will go in the direction that you're kind of moving, quote. So you can still kind of focus on wherever the enemy is, and then if you just push to the side and press dash, and then you can keep your attack in the, like your character, even if your character is going this way and your mouse is over here, you can still attack that way. So I have that set up to, and if you look, the player will actually orientate to the direction, so it doesn't look too janky. But if you're like holding on down, but you want to attack backwards, you can do that. So that allows the motion dash to kind of work, but it requires some momentum, so you have to push a little bit to the side before you actually get it. And it only does a little bit, but then you can kind of tack at an angle, so you can, like that. Still working on it. Hotline Miami. Oh, cool. Well, that's a compliment, I'll say. So thank you. I should go back and replay Hotline Miami, actually. So yeah. Yeah, it was only me. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see if I want to. I need to figure out how to make player progression interesting in the game, I guess. So it's possible that there'll be kind of different attacks or like different types of weapons. If I do end up with any type of range attack, it's probably going to be some sort of, upgrade type of thing. Roguelike upgrade of some sort. but not like your primary focus, not like you're gonna get a bow or something for your main weapon. I don't know. That's just where I'm at right now. That it's subject to change, but right now the focus is definitely, this game is all about dash attacks. So I'd like to keep that, if anything, just to keep my scope down so I can actually finish this game and put it out there for people to play. So we are coming up on when I have to stop streaming. So just give everyone a little warning. I'm gonna be ending the stream soon, but I wanted to thank everybody for jumping on. Yeah, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want other updates. Sometimes I give a little bit more, kind of like today. That's kind of the type of updates I do for like regular video stuff on YouTube. But yeah, I'll do more like devlog updates and things like that. But if you just come and watch the stream, a lot of times you'll see a lot of the work that I'm actually doing in real time. And any other projects. And then you can also find me on Blue Sky and Twitter, just Mike Dolan03, which I don't know if that's my username on all of these accounts too. I think so. Yeah, and eventually, hopefully by August, this will have a demo on Steam and you can play it and wishlist it, and appreciate your support. So hope to see you all tomorrow. All right. Have a good one.